Hello, and welcome to Bookish Sisters Podcast. I'm Allie.
And I'm Jamie, and we are two sisters who love talking about books.
Today we'll be talking about two Darcy Coates books that we both recently read.
Mm-hmm.
The Dead of Winter and Voices in the Snow. And they're both mystery thriller horrors.
Mm-hmm.
And they were really interesting.
Yeah, one we loved, one...
not so much.
So when you think of a winter setting, what comes to mind?
Cold, snowstorm.
Blizzards.
Like a remote cabin setting.
Mm-hmm. Or ski lodge.
Yes. And I think this was something that the author did really well, was create a good sense of atmosphere.
Yes, in both books.
Mm-hmm. So the synopsis for Dead of Winter is, when Krista joins a tour group heading deep in the snowy expanse of the Rocky Mountains, she's hopeful this will be her chance to put the ghosts of her past to rest. But when a bitterly cold snowstorm sweeps the region, the small group is forced to take shelter in an abandoned hunting cabin. Despite the uncomfortably claustrophobic quarters and rapidly dropping temperature, Krista believes they'll be safe as long as they wait out the storm. She couldn't be more wrong. Deep in the night, their tour guide goes missing, only to be discovered the following morning, his severed head impaled on a tree outside the cabin. Terrified and completely isolated by the storm, Krista finds herself trapped with 8 total strangers. One of them kills for sport, and they're far from finished. As the storm grows more dangerous and the number of survivors dwindles one by one, Krista must decide who she can trust before this frozen mountain becomes her tomb.
So this one was amazing.
It was definitely my favorite Darcy Coates book that I've read out of, like, the many I've read.
I've only read a handful, but this one is by far my favorite. But then again, it blends everything that I love in a mystery thriller horror into one book and had me shocked.
Yes, it very much reminded me of a horror version of And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie.
That is exactly it.
Yeah, you had the remote, isolated setting, the interesting cast of characters, well thought out plot.
And it was fast-paced.
It was, which I think is very important when it comes to, like, a locked room situation.
Yes.
In order for me to be on board and to keep my attention.
And, like, you didn't necessarily like the characters, but you couldn't, it wasn't that you couldn't stand them.
Right.
Like, you couldn't tolerate all of them.
In some way or another. And they all were very distinct, too.
Like, I feel like I didn't really remember, like, what character was what, but it didn't seem to matter. I was just along the ride, and I had not read the synopsis, so I did not expect severed heads.
I didn't.
Like,
I know.
It tells you in the back.
Yes. I also didn't read the synopsis, and I was like, oh my, because I didn't expect that either. And it kept happening.
I know. I was like, oh, we're going there. Well, that's a twist.
So there might be spoilers up ahead in this episode. So if you haven't read either one and you don't want to have a spoiled, like, story, then maybe...
Yeah. We will try to keep it tame, but...
There are some things we must talk about.
Spoilers may occur, so beware.
So what would you do if you traveled somewhere remote with someone you love and they vanished?
Yeah, I would not be okay. I feel like I would be doing everything I could to try to locate them.
Same. I would definitely freak out, and I would try and do whatever I could, but I don't know how I would go about that in this situation.
It was like, how?
Because in a normal situation, you would think, contact the police and have them try and help you, but you really couldn't do that in a situation like that.
Yeah, and, like, you can't even contact a friend. You're just with strangers. And strangers aren't going to, like, have the motivation to help you figure it out. They're going to be worried about their own self.
And in a situation like that, like, I always think, okay, you can kind of connect with certain people and go off of vibes, but you don't really know them. How much can you really trust someone you don't really know?
Oh, you can't trust them at all, at least.
But I think you would want to trust them, wouldn't you?
You'd want to trust at least somebody.
You would want someone in your corner.
But, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
So, what if you had evidence to think something truly horrific happened to them?
I would be even more concerned.
Right?
And I think I'd be even more motivated to try and get help or get out of this situation so I could find someone that could help me.
And I would definitely be more, concerned and, like, questioning the people with me.
Were they involved?
Exactly. Like, what do you do? Who do you trust? How do you go about searching for your friend?
Especially when none of them had the same motivation to try and locate this person. They were thinking about themselves and how they could stay safe, which I get to some degree.
And our main character was injured. She had frostbite, and she was wanted to go out in the storm anyways.
Well, I think you would do that for someone you really love.
I would think so, too.
But then again, how do you really know what you'd be like in that situation, you know?
Yeah, but, like, if you're injured and, like, you're not in the right state of mind, are you really going to be helping and, like, productive in your search? Or
No,
are you just
I don't know.
Or are you just going to, like, risk your own death for nothing?
And then, like, what if you're the one person that has some important skill set that could be helpful, like, in that situation? And I can imagine that all the other people, they'd be thinking, like, oh, don't go out there. Like, you could be helping us.
Yeah. Like,
what if something happens to you? What if you're the only person that, like, knew anything about what the situation, like, nature or whatever?
Yeah, what if you're the only one who didn't get the fire started?
Yeah, or you're the only one that knows how to catch a fish or, like, something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I would do or how I would go about it.
I would cry. I would cry a lot.
So, in a situation where you're completely isolated with strangers and bad things keep happening, would you be trying to figure things out for yourself, or would you be relying on those around you to help you?
I don't think I would really be trusting anyone.
Me either.
I feel like in that situation, you could really only rely on yourself to keep yourself safe. And I would be really suspicious of everyone. And I would just try and figure it out for myself.
I completely agree. And, like, but I would want to also keep my eyes on, like, everyone around me. Try and figure out who I can trust, who I cannot. But I definitely wouldn't be trusting anyone.
Would you, like, try and form an alliance with anyone? Like they do on Survivor?
Probably, at least a little bit.
Because you don't want them to think that you're, like, betraying them. Because then they could target you. Because you don't know who's doing all these things.
Yeah. Definitely things to think about.
You have to kind of keep it, like, neutral.
Please like me enough to not murder me.
So if bad things keep happening, and you thought the people you were with could have something to do with it, would you stay in the group or strike it on your own?
Definitely stay with the group. I mean, I feel like there has to be some sort of safety in numbers. Because at least there's witnesses.
Right.
If you go off on your own and the murderer decides to follow you, you're dead and no one knows any better.
I think I would be sticking with the group and let them think that I was on their side. And I think that would be safer than having them immediately against me. Yeah. If I were to strike it on my own, then I feel like I would be a target.
Yeah, because the murderer can just follow you outside, off on your own. You died. They might not know what happened to you. And they certainly won't know who did it.
Right.
At least if you're murdered in plain sight, they can at least know, hey, that's who it is. Like, at least something will come of it.
And I don't think I would want to be the one that they make an example of.
No.
Because, you know, if, like, there's someone truly evil doing these things, if you striking on your own or you become, like, a threat to go get help or bring awareness to the situation, then I feel you're just putting a big target on your back.
Yeah, don't want that.
And they're not going to want the other people in the group to follow your lead, so they're going to do something about it.
Yes. Stay with the group, stay safe, stay under the radar, and hope for the best.
That's all you can do. So were you shocked by the big reveal at the end?
Yes. But, like, I originally had suspected that, like, that could have been, like, one of the scenarios. And then, but then I factored in the severed heads. Like, obviously we were finding heads, we're finding bodies. So I'm like, that can't possibly be the case.
Right.
But I was thinking of, like, the inspiration, like, and then there were none. Those twists. And, like, so many books that come after that. So I'm like, well, maybe she is going that way. And then it hits me, and I'm like, I believe it. It makes sense. But I didn't see it coming, even though I expected it in the beginning.
Right. I feel like I had my suspicions, but I was still super shocked. Because there was so much doubt put in. I was like, no, it can't be. Like, I initially thought so, too. But I was like, it can't be that. Because of this, and this, or whatever.
Like,
and then
we found the body.
Right. But once it was, like, revealed and kind of explained, then I was like, okay, I still didn't see this coming.
Like, I should have seen it. I had those predictions, and then I kind of just cast them aside, forgot about them, because I'm like, oh, we found that. That can't be it.
Right. I know, I feel like so much happened at the very end after that reveal, and it happened so quickly that it was just like, you didn't even have that much time to really, like, dissect it.
Right.
Because it was just like, bam, bam, bam. There was so much happening. I was like, oh my gosh, what is this?
And then those teeth on the windowsill.
That was terrifying.
I was like, oh.
There were a lot of creepy little elements sprinkled throughout this book.
Like, I knew it was going to be, like, a horror, but then I was like, well, it's a locked room. How, like, horror vibes are we going?
Right. And with all of the other books that I've read of hers, because I feel like I've read, like, at least 10, they're categorized as, like, with horror, but I've never felt like it was super horror, even though they were, like, hauntings or whatnot.
Yeah, I've read a couple of her hauntings, and, like, they were, like, cozy thriller with a haunting.
Yes. And this was the first one that I feel like had true horror elements in it, and I was delighted.
Yeah, like, if you're a little squeamish, maybe this isn't the one for you. I wasn't phased.
I'll read it anyways. It was a good read.
It was amazing.
So the other book of hers that we read was Voices in the Snow,
which is book 1 in the Black Winter series.
And this one, in the other books in the series are Secrets in the Dark, Whispers in the Mist, and Silence in the Shadows. And
this one was a truly interesting read.
It was very interesting, and I wouldn't say in a great way.
I had mixed feelings about it at first, and then I slowly developed.
It was very slow, and then once things started happening, I was like, what the heck am I reading?
Followed by, why am I reading this?
And then I kept reading because I was intrigued enough, but then things would happen, and I'd be like, what is this? And I still don't know, even though I finished, what did I read? And I feel like we had different interpretations. Which we'll get to later.
I don't know what I read. I don't know what I was reading. And I'm like, well, that's weird. Do we trust this? Why is this happening? Why do we trust this?
Yeah. There was a lot of things that I was puzzled by. So let's dissect this. So the synopsis for Voices in the Snow is, Claire remembers the cold. She remembers abandoned cars and the children's toys littered across the road. She remembers dark shapes in the snow and the terror she can't explain. And then, nothing. When she wakes, aching and afraid in a stranger's Gothic home, he tells her she was in an accident, a crash in the snow. He claims he saved her. Claire wants to leave, but a vicious snowstorm has blanketed the world in white, trapping them together, and there's nothing she can do but wait. At least the stranger seems kind, but Claire doesn't know if she can trust him. He promised they were alone here, but she sees and hears things that convince her something else is creeping about the surrounding woods, watching. Waiting. Between the claustrophobic storm and the inescapable sense of being hunted, Claire is on edge, and increasingly certain of one thing. Her car crash wasn't an accident. Something is waiting for her to step outside the fragile safety of the house. Something monstrous. Something unfeeling.
I feel like that synopsis captures the book fairly well.
Yes, but it also doesn't.
Yeah.
Because by reading the synopsis, not that I read it before going in, but like hearing it now, I'm all on board and it should be everything I love in a book.
Yes.
But I feel that isn't my experience.
Right. But like, it sums up everything.
It does.
Without summing up anything.
Exactly. It's one of those. It tells you everything but tells you nothing all at the same time.
So have you ever been caught driving in a horrible snowstorm, crashed, or having been stuck as a result?
Like, I've driven through a lot of really bad snowstorms, but I've never been in a bad accident or stranded.
Yeah, I've never been stranded, but the first thing that comes to mind is when we went shopping with our brother.
I know exactly what you're
saying. And your son, and I don't know why we didn't take Grant's car. I think he didn't want to put gas in it, and my car had a full tank.
I think it was how we convinced him to go there.
Was that he didn't have to deal with his car. So we pile in mine, and we're driving, 40 minutes away? And we make him drive, because we both hate driving.
I wanted a new phone case. We had to go to Five Below.
And the only one was like...
Because we didn't have them all over the place yet.
Mm-hmm. And my car, it was a piece of work. Because I had a leaky roof, I had no air conditioning, and my heat decided to die mid-trip. And then it started blizzarding.
It was not ideal driving conditions at all. Couldn't see a thing. It was foggy. We had to pull over at Big Boy until we were rescued.
We flew over a curb.
You're right, we did.
We couldn't see. You had like one of our hoodies. You were wiping the inside of the windshield.
I was doing what I
could. Gray had the window down, and he was like trying to see, and he's just like, why did I go? I'm never taking you guys here again.
And he truly never did. We never went there again together.
Yeah, I don't think we have.
We haven't. That was, gosh, that was like 15 years ago.
And then there was another snowstorm a few years ago that my husband was driving one car, and I was behind him. He had to stop. I couldn't stop in time, so I swerved out of the way. And then the person behind me had been riding my butt, and they came crashing into tile, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, that was terrifying. Thankfully, our friends came to rescue us while we waited for the cops and everything.
Yeah.
But, like, I would be okay to never have to drive in the snow again.
Yeah, like, I've definitely had lots of experiences where I've slid off and gotten, like, kind of in a ditch, or, you know, spun around and we're facing the wrong direction of the road. But luckily, no one was ever around, or I was able to get out. Anytime I did get stuck, I was able to help myself.
My one car, I got stuck a lot, like, in parking lots, because it was so low to the ground. I had to be pushed out, pushed in.
Yep. The car I had before this one was really low to the ground, too, and I was always getting stuck on everything, but I was always able to get out.
I could not always get out. But I also, like, I'm not great in the snow.
And it's also where I was always driving was down all those dirt roads in the back, back roads, and they're never plowed. It was not ideal. I had to get to work.
If you're listening, tell us your horror stories when it comes to snowing and driving.
So, the first sense of something wrong, aside from driving in the bad snowstorm with little phone service, was when she passed two cars on the side of the road with the doors open, headlights on, and the keys in the ignition. With no one in sight, what would that make you stop and turn around or continue on?
I would definitely, like, think it was weird, and I feel like I would be a bit more cautious.
Do you think this was like a sense of foreboding for everything that was about to come?
Like, but I feel like if I was determined to see my aunt and my sister, like, character was, and, like, if I saw it, I would think it was weird. I don't think it would make me turn around necessarily.
Right.
But I would be definitely, what is going on? Why did they stop?
You'd make a mental note of it. Yeah. I thought it was really off that she wasn't concerned by it.
Right.
I would be. Like you said, I'm not sure that I would, like, stop or turn around, but I would be like, well, that's really odd and concerning.
Yeah, like, she had mentioned, I feel like, well, that's a little weird. Like, I wonder what happened. Are they alright? And then, I'm gonna continue on into the forest.
Like, I'm one of those people, like, if I see something like that, I would want to help, but I wouldn't stop and help myself. I would find someone else to go help them, because I'm just scared.
Yeah, I don't
and I don't even know what I could do to help.
Same. So I'm like, I would want to help, but, like, my physical capabilities, there's not much I can do. Followed by, what if that's a trick?
Right, I always feel unsafe. I always have that in the back of my mind. Or in the front of my mind, because I'm very paranoid about everything. I think of all the horrible situations and scenarios that can happen. I play them out of my mind, and so I'm, like, mentally prepared should something terrible happen.
Yeah. Same.
I realize that's not necessarily normal, but that's how my brain works.
Yeah, but she was the character. She was thinking of the forest as, like, safety. Like, she would be safer from the snow and as she drove into the forest. I wouldn't be thinking that.
No. That was one thing I found really odd, too, was that Claire viewed the forest as a place of safety from the storm.
Yeah.
And, like, after after what she, like, encountered passing that scene on the side of the road, that puzzled me. And I can't say I ever considered the forest to be, like, a place of safety.
No.
It's, like, always, in my mind, is a dark, scary place. Unknown, danger, like...
Yeah, and, like, I can see that she would be thinking, oh, I'll be protected more from the blizzard. Okay, but what about fallen branches? The snow is going to be covering more obstacles. You're not going to be able to see them. It's going to
wildlife?
It's going to be dark. There's going to be wildlife. Yeah.
Like, have you ever in a story had anything good come out of the dark, creepy woods?
No.
That's where you run away from. You don't run to it.
Yes, there's danger coming. I'm going to drive right into the forest, in this blizzard.
Yeah, there's no hope of that being plowed or anything. I wasn't understanding that thought process at all. And I was like, this is kind of, like, I felt like she was dumb.
Yeah.
For making that choice and thinking that.
Meanwhile, I'm thinking, please don't go into the forest. Don't do it. Nothing's good comes from that.
Right.
But nope, we drove into the forest.
And I was like, how are we driving in the forest? The whole time I was like, how is this possible? Like, I realized, like, all of the trees...
There was, like, one road.
And the trees kind of protect a lot of snow from falling there, I guess. But, like...
I don't know. I thought it was weird.
Yeah, I thought that was weird, too.
So, the next thing we know, we go from Claire driving through the forest to waking up in a bed in a strange place. What was your initial thought on that?
It was strange. I thought it was weird that Doran found her and brought her back to that big empty mansion in the woods. And it was an hour from where the car was.
Yeah, like... And I know it was explained, like, what he was doing in the woods. But, like, what was he doing in the woods? Like,
right.
He just happened to...
An hour away from where he lived. The whole thing was weird to me.
And he just happened to come across her car and sees a stranger and carries her?
Yeah.
An hour?
Through a blizzard?
I don't know. Like, maybe he was a good human.
And when I think of blizzard, I think of, like, really deep snow.
Like, deep snow, you can't see a thing.
It's so hard to walk through deep snow.
It's hard just walking in any snow. Like,
I'm like, the whole, like, it being an hour away from the mansion was what really was, like, I was just like, is there nowhere else within, like, a radius?
No, just we're in the forest.
I was, like, puzzled by the whole thing.
She had driven through that forest many times and had never seen this mansion.
That was also odd. The whole thing was weird.
It really was. But, like, my first thought when she woke up was, oh no, the amnesia trope.
Which you can't stand because you have had amnesia.
And, like, I was instantly like, oh no, I'm gonna hate this.
You hated it for other reasons instead.
Yeah, because she didn't remember what happened. And, like, secondly, I did not trust Doran, like, one bit. I was like, oh no, she's in the house with a murderer. Like, that is my train of thought.
Right. Yeah, because I was like, why would he bring her back there? Guess it might be warm or safe, but it turns out it really wasn't.
Like, I 100% thought he was evil, and part of me thought he was going to turn into a monster. Like...
Yeah, I thought he had something, must have been something supernatural attached to him. You know?
Yeah. I was wrong. But, like, everything I predicted, but, you know.
Yeah, I did not predict any of the way this story went going at all. I don't think you could if you tried.
No, I was just along for the ride and wondering why I was reading it. So what did you think was happening when Claire first started seeing the woman in the house? Did you think she was imagining things, seeing a ghost? Did you think she was seeing a real person?
I wasn't really sure exactly.
Same.
Like, with her injuries and her lack of memory, she was already like an unreliable witness. So I was, like, thinking that. And then I also assumed she was just seeing things. But I also wasn't sure how much we could trust Doran when he was saying that he wasn't seeing her. You know? Yeah. I was like, I think they're both unreliable, and I think that was the intention.
Yeah, I thought something was really there, but I was second guessing it the entire time. And, like, I was wondering, was she actually, maybe she was seeing it. But then, was he lying?
Right. I think I thought that she was really seeing it, but he was lying that he couldn't.
Yeah.
To make her, like, second guess herself.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know why he would be doing that.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the things that had me so curious to keep reading.
I just wanted to know what in the world was happening in this book. Like, that was the only reason that I continued. Was sheer curiosity.
So would you have ventured back out into the perilous weather to obtain the black box from your car an hour away, especially if you were still recovering from your injuries with a stranger?
Like, I can understand wanting to get the radio and, like, that chance of connecting with your family in, like, the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
But being injured, going out into a blizzard, traveling over an hour by foot, absolutely not.
Right.
I was thinking that was so stupid.
Yeah, I personally thought that was a really dumb move. And I didn't understand how that would really help them in the moment. It seemed like an unnecessarily risky choice.
Yeah, because even if you were able to contact help or contact your sister or anything, what would that do?
Right, in the moment, they wouldn't be able to get to you any time soon.
Yeah, no sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, yes, it would be great to let your family know that you are alive and well, or, like, relatively, but at the same time, huge problem, like, you're risking your life for that risk of contact.
Right, because
knowing that no one can rescue you.
Right, you're traveling an hour, and then you still have to travel back.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
And that's assuming it's an hour under normal conditions, not necessarily in these blizzard conditions.
Right. Like, there's just a lot of concerns, but absolutely not. I would not be traveling to my car.
And she was so fragile in that state, too. I was like, how are you even going to do that?
Yeah, she could barely walk in some...
Yeah.
Like, no, it was dumb. But did you buy that they thought that they were going to be stuck there until the end of winter after it had already been, like, a week?
I thought that seemed a little extreme, considering it was the beginning of the season and a storm came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't really realistic that the snow would never be cleared in that many weeks or even months.
Right.
I didn't understand.
No. Like, the whole timeline felt really weird to me.
Yeah.
Because, like, I felt like we were missing chunks of time. Because, like, we went from her being there to, like, a week or two have passed, and then, like, a month passed, and, like, they were just living together.
And they were, like, rationing their supplies, and there was, like, sabotage of supplies, and that was a whole nother weird aspect. Yeah. I was very puzzled.
And, like, there was a bit of, like, a romance happening between them, and I'm like, what is happening?
It was very, very weird.
And, like, I get the whole forced proximity trope, and, like, they were literally the only characters for, like, the entirety of the book. But, like, I had problems.
Yeah, it was very, like, I don't even know what other word. It's just weird. It was very odd.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird.
I know, and I also thought the sense of time was off, too, because they were growing a garden and conserving fuel and everything, yet it had only been a week. But they were preparing like they were never going to be able to leave. I just don't understand how they would never be able to leave.
And, like, how did they get that mentality? Like, I get that there was stuff happening in the outside world, but she didn't remember that.
Right.
And he claimed to know nothing about, like, anything. So, like, again, I didn't trust him, and I was confused what in the world they were thinking. And, like, their mindset.
And there was just conveniently, like, a garden to be growing indoors and, like, all these other things. I was just confused.
And, like, I had originally pictured the house as, like, a small cabin. I don't know if it was just, like, the way I had read it. And then I was like, wait, we are inside a mansion. And, like, I felt like the house kept getting bigger and bigger. I don't know if that was, like, the way she intended or if I just, like, read it weird.
It was very interesting.
Like, maybe I misinterpreted it, but I thought we were in a small cabin at first.
Because why would there be a big mansion in the woods? And, like, even, like, up north and stuff, when you have lots of snow, they eventually the sun will come out and things will melt down. The temperature eventually gets a little warmer.
Yeah.
Things eventually get shoveled or plowed. Why didn't they have a shovel or something? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And, like, why were they not trying to figure out how to escape or, like, leave?
I know, because aside from going to get the box from the car, that was, like, the only thing that was mentioned. But it wasn't even to escape. It was just to make contact. So I would think I would be trying to go to the car, maybe to get the car back to the mansion to work on it or something, so I would have a means to escape.
But I guess he was content with being at the house.
Because he didn't know any different.
And she just wanted to be with her family. So they had different motivations and stuff. But, like, I don't know.
It was weird. So why do you think Claire was the only one able to see the woman?
Well, I was suspecting, like, hidden passageways at first.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, it's a mansion. That would make sense. Because every mansion has hidden passageways, you know?
Of course!
But, like, the more Doran looked for the mysterious woman, the more I questioned Claire's sanity.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, maybe she's just seeing things.
Well, as time had passed, and they were the only ones there, I think you would go a little crazy, too.
I'm like, maybe we're seeing ghosts. Maybe the house has
That's
ghosts.
where my mind was thinking.
Especially since I had only read, like, some of her hauntings. I'm like, oh, we're dealing with ghosts. No, we weren't.
Yeah, I think this was definitely one of the parts of the story that had me questioning what in the world was going on.
I feel like I was thinking that the entire book, but...
Well, yeah, but that point made me thinking, like, what am I reading?
Yeah. At any point, were you suspicious of Claire thinking it was her doing some of the strange things around the house?
Maybe, like, with the garden being dug up. But I thought that was, like, a little too convenient at the same time.
Yeah.
And it had me thinking, like, with the dirt on her hands and everything, that she must have had something to do with it. But it was actually more suspicious of him, since he was never with Claire when any of this stuff was happening.
Right. Where was he? What was he doing?
Exactly. I was just like, what is going on?
Yes.
I didn't know who to trust.
I didn't trust anyone. There's only two people. There's only the two of them.
Well, then there was the mystery lady that no one seemed to be able to actually see, so I'm just not sure.
I had so many mixed feelings throughout this.
So when Claire starts getting her memory back as to why she was fleeing, were you expecting it to be because of what it was?
Nothing about what she remembered and, like, what came of the ending was something I could have possibly expected.
Right. I expected her to be running from, like, a person or a past mistake.
Yeah.
Not because something like a plane falling from the sky and the government going all wonky would have ever been on my radar.
I was just going along for the ride reluctantly throughout this.
Yeah, like, and at that point I was like, oh, we're, like, doing a post-apocalyptic thing here. I didn't get those vibes until then.
No. The only warning I had of that was because you hinted at it, because you read it first. But, like, no, I was caught off guard, and I'm like, what is this?
It was weirdness.
The theme of the book, just, what is this?
This was weird. So do you see yourself continuing the Black Winter series?
Absolutely not. And I feel bad for saying that. Like, honestly, Voices in the Snow is not even in my library anymore.
Me either. I got rid of it, too. I had to break up my collection of Darcy Coates.
I liked it enough to read it and, like, finish it. I did skim a little bit. I struggled.
It was a struggle to read.
And, like, the romance between the two characters, it was just weird with the forced proximity and the only characters and, like, the timeline. I had so many problems.
And he was just a weird character.
They both were.
But she had more of a reason to be weird.
Yeah.
Because she had no memory. And she was, like, at his mercy. He had to, like, nurse her back to health and everything. He was just kind of weird and creepy. And...
the whole thing was weird and creepy. And, like, I don't know that it was creepy in the way that she intended.
Yeah.
And then the ending. What was that?
I really, truly didn't expect...
I still don't know.
Yeah. I truly didn't expect a Darcy Coates book to make me question things as much as this one did. Usually they're pretty easy reads, straightforward plot. This, I was like, what in the world?
You're along for the ride, whether you want to be or not.
Turns out I didn't really want to be. So out of the 2 books we discussed, Dead of Winter and Voices in the Snow, which one was your favorite and why?
I think the answer to that is obvious. Dead of Winter.
Yes.
Like, it blended everything I love into a book.
Mm-hmm.
It was fast-paced. I couldn't put it down. I'm pretty sure I binge-read it in one night.
Mm-hmm. You did.
And, like, yes! Meanwhile, Voices in the Snow, what in the world?
Yeah, and I didn't want to pick it up whenever I had to put it down.
And knowing it's a series, maybe it gets better.
How is it a series? Are you following a different scenario?
No, I believe you're still following Claire and Doran, if I remember right. From what
Do I know them well enough to continue on in a series?
I don't know.
What more story can they have? The world is, like, weird.
I don't know.
I'm curious, but not enough to pick up the next one in the series or read it.
Maybe if I found it in, like, a low-food library.
Then it would be different because you're not spending money on it.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I would probably hoard it.
Yeah.
And not want to pick it up to read it.
Yeah.
Because that's how much I disliked Voices in the Snow.
If you have read either one of these, we would love to hear your thoughts.
Oh, yeah. Because I feel like we couldn't be the only ones that thought this was very odd.
And for all we know, Voices in the Snow could be your favorite.
Which is fine.
Yeah. Just because we didn't like it doesn't mean you won't.
Well, thank you for tuning into Bookish Sisters podcast. Please make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Spotify, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tune in on February 2nd for our What Kind of Reader Are You episode. Happy reading!